Hello, handsome boy. Morning, guys. So I posted recently in... Oh, Nellie's on one. She's feeling feisty. She needs to go for a good gallop, doesn't she? Yeah. So I mentioned in one of my recent videos that I was lacking a little bit of inspiration lately. And somebody commented on that video that they would be interested to know what we feed our horses. And I have to be honest, I've thought about making that video a lot of times in the past, and I never bothered because I figured it was a bit boring. Like, what we feed our horses is really basic, like really, really basic. But being as I've had a request for it, I thought, why not go ahead and make that video? We need to put you in the yard first though, don't we, and shut the gate, otherwise you're going to cause mischief. Come on. So, welcome to our tiny little feed shed. And it is very, very tiny. And we've managed to cram an awful lot in here. Because over the years, we've learned to get really good at cramming things into small spaces because everything here is small and pokey. So yeah, this is it. This is where we keep all of our food. It is literally, it's teeny tiny. I mean, this is me stood in here, and yeah, there's like a tiny little alleyway at the middle with all the bins. And then we've got like supplements up here. So our horses have a really, really basic diet. In the summer, they eat mostly grass. They might have a little bit of supplementary hay or haylage, depending on how the ground is doing. But since we've actually started a better land management routine every year, the grass quality and quantity has gone up massively. So we fed hardly anything this year. We fed very, very little hay all summer. And they had like a really small bucket feed, like literally just a handful of chaff and a handful of nuts, and that was it, just so they could have their supplements in it. I'm looking around actually and just thinking, but pretty much everything we give them is like natural or herbal based rather than like a chemical manufactured type supplement. Just personal preference for me, really. I don't like giving chemically weird stuff to my animals. I don't like eating it. I don't want them to eat it. So I try to keep things natural wherever I can. We've got a horse and pony mix in here. So this is what they're all on at the moment. We tend to stick to a mix rather than a cube or anything else, purely because you can kind of see what's in it, and they seem to enjoy it more. It seems a little bit more palatable for them. So this is actually our local feed store's home brand stuff. They do like a conditioning mix as well. I think they do a racehorse mix also. It's like really, really basic stuff, but this is what we tend to stick to. Sometimes we'll get them in the conditioning mix, depending on workload and how they're all doing weight-wise. But for the majority of the time, they're on this horse and pony mix. And in this one over here, we've got our chaff. It's really, really nice. It smells really, really good, actually. It's a fresh bag just went in there yesterday, so it's got like a really good aroma still. So that is Molly Chaff Showshine. That's what we're currently feeding at the moment. We tend to stick with Molly Chaff, partly because it's really good value for money and partly because we've always got on really well with it. So we have tried some other chaffs in the past. I think we've tried like some Denji ones, and we've tried some alfalfa based chaff as well. I can't remember what brand it was, what it was called. But we've always kind of swung back round to the Molly Chaff. We tend to go between feeding the original or the Showshine. Obviously, we've got the Showshine at the moment. The main difference being that the Showshine has added oils in it, which is really good for their skin and their coat. So we tend to stick with that one now. They just seem to do a little bit better on it. And that is basically their food, apart from a few little bits and bobs that get added in as per the needs of each horse. So they get a big scoop of chaff, and they get a big scoop of the horse and pony mix. And they're currently only getting that once a day. So we used to give bucket feeds twice a day. We used to do morning and evening. Now we only do an evening feed. And they seem like happier with this routine. So we used to find, when we used to give them a morning bucket feed as well, like everybody would be really like irritated in the morning. I think because they were like anticipating breakfast, they wanted their bucket feed, and they'd always be like kicking on their doors and spinning around to their stables and kicking up a right fuss, really, really dramatic, impatient, just generally quite irritating first thing in the morning. You want peace and quiet in the morning, not a bunch of hangry irritable horses nagging at you for their breakfast. But since stopping that breakfast feed, they don't get stressed in the mornings anymore. They're like really, really mellow. And what we've been doing instead is giving them like a big bucket feed at night. So they're getting the same amount of food every day, but they're just getting it in one bucket feed at night before they go to bed. And I've noticed what happens is that they'll eat their big bucket feed and then they might have like a couple of mouthfuls of hay, and then they all tend to go rest and kind of sleep it off, which I think has been really, really good because, well, two of ours in particular, Nelly and Blue, they are gut buckets and they will just stand there and eat everything until it's gone. And then they'll end up standing in their stables hungry all night. Like Nelly can literally eat a whole night's worth of hay in about an hour and a half. She's absolutely disgusting. She has no self-control whatsoever. Woody paces himself pretty well, and Stumpy's not too bad, but Woody is the most sensible when it comes to eating. But doing this, like I said, they eat their bucket feed and then they'll just kind of snooze. So I think that's been helping with the morning tantrums as well, because they're not scoffing their hay so quickly. They're getting to enjoy it throughout the night, and they're just less hungry in the morning. So all in all, that's worked out really, really well for us. Everybody seems more settled. Everybody is happier in the morning and more content. So that's been a really, really big win for us. So I think we're definitely going to stick with that. So this is feed made up for this evening. That's Stumpy's bucket. Pink one's Nelly's. That's Blue's because it's blue. Woody's got the purple one. Yeah, that's dinner. So like I said, they have their chaff, they have their pony mix, and then we've got a few bits and bobs that go in for each horse. So Blue has his farrier's formula. So this is his farrier's formula. I did mention this stuff in a recent video that I shot talking about his feet and the history with his feet and all the problems he's had. So he has not quite a full cup, probably like 2/3 of a cup every day in his bucket feed, and that's helped his feet massively. So that's Blue's little supplement. That's the only extra thing he has in his food these days. Nelly New and Stumpy, they have Devil's Claw in their food. So they have this stuff. This is Devil's Claw root. So we give them that to help with like joint and muscular comfort. It's supposed to have like natural anti-inflammatory properties, and I've noticed a big difference since giving that to the girls. So Nelly has been like, she's always been a bit on and off lame all of her life. Like she's never been a perfectly sound horse, and it's one of those weird things where the vets have never really found anything with her. It's like she'll be fine for 6 months and then she'll kind of go a bit not quite right. Like she did this year. She had a phase this year where she just wasn't quite right. And then a couple of weeks later, she's bright as rain again and there's absolutely nothing wrong with her and she's herring around like a mad hatter, like nothing happened. So it's a bit of a weird one. But since feeding her the Devil's Claw, there's been a massive improvement in that. So I think that's definitely made her more comfortable. And same with Stumpy. So Stumpy, bless her, I got a feeling she might struggle with her, like her SI area. So I've noticed with her, especially when it gets colder out or when she comes out of her stable in the mornings and she's a little bit stiff, she'll kind of like catch the toe on one of her back feet a little bit. She always walks it off like it's not a massive problem. And the more exercise she does, the stronger she gets, the better it gets. But that has helped with her massively as well. Like I very, very rarely see her come out of her stable dragging that back toe anymore. So it's definitely made a difference to the girls. So they're both on that. The only downside with Devil's Claw is that it's not competition legal. It is on the banned list. So, I mean, the boys don't need it. They don't have any problems that would really warrant them needing this stuff. So it doesn't matter anyway. But we couldn't feed that to the boys if we were taking them out to competitions, because it's not competition legal, unfortunately. And equally, if we ever take Stumpy out to shows, we have to make sure that we stop feeding her this stuff. I mean, realistically, the level of shows that we go to are very, very unlikely to be doing like chemical testing on horses anyway. That kind of thing usually only happens with like really big high stakes shows. Think like Horse of the Year kind of standard, and we ain't there, that's for damn sure. So it's probably not really anything that I need to stress about that much, but I think it's just good to, you know,
to take on good practices and good habits, even though we're not playing that big game. Hopefully one day we will be playing that big game with those big stakes, and I want to make sure that we don't get caught out when we do get there. So I've been very careful to research all of this stuff. So yeah, Farrier's formula for Blue, Devil's Claw for the girls. I have also fed them turmeric earlier this year, and that helped massively as well. So probably everybody knows about turmeric by now. It's like one of these wonder drugs, great for inflammation and sort of overall health. I need to get some more of that actually, but the company I like to get it from is currently sold out. And I've become a little bit picky with where I'll buy stuff from. I like to buy from a company called Horse Herbs. I like their stuff, it's really good quality. And I will buy stuff off the shelf in my feed store. There's nothing wrong with the stuff you get in the feed store. Like what we've got here, this is Dodson and Horrell. And I've bought like the NAF Devil's Claw route before as well. And it's fine, like it does the job and there's nothing wrong with it. However, when I bought it from the Horse Herbs company for the first time, I opened the bag and like the quality of the product was like miles higher than the stuff you get from your local feed store. It smelled incredible. The color was so vibrant. Like I think it was fresher is the thing. And since then I'm like, oh yeah, I want to keep the standard up here. Yeah, I need to go back on their website actually and see if the stuff is back in stock because I want to get that again. It was the turmeric gold I gave them, and so it was a mixture of turmeric, black pepper and linseed. Very good for their skin, the linseed, and the oil and the pepper helps them to take up, is it curcumin? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's the substance in the turmeric that does all the good stuff for your body. Anyway, waffling about turmeric. So other stuff we've got in here, that is a bag of apples. So they will have fresh fruits and vegetables whenever they're in season and available. Oh yeah, Woody. So, I can't do that with one hand. So Woody is also having a feed balancer at the moment, which is in there. So that is, hang on, I need to put these buckets back and I'm going to drop them if I do it with one hand. So Woody's on a feed balancer at the moment. He goes on a feed balancer in the winter just to help him with his weight management and to try and keep a bit more, you know, like muscle mass and weight on him through the winter. Bless him, he never got the memo about cobs being good doers. He is a poor doer, always has been, always struggled to keep weight on him, always struggled to keep him looking good. And last year I won a competition, an Instagram competition, and we got like 2 bags of blue chip feed balancer and we fed it to him all through the winter and it was the best he ever looked. Like he looked amazing on it. Now, obviously that's not blue chip food balancer. Blue chip is very, very expensive. Now, whilst I can say that the effects were notable and he looked great on it, I can't really justify spending that much money on a feed balancer. It's just, I mean, it's like £40 per bag. It's just such a lot of money for me. And, you know, we're forking out £50 a month on Blue's feed supplement at the moment. That Farrier's formula costs about £50 a month. So that's a lot of money for a start. And the Haygates balancer that we're feeding him is way, way more cost effective than that. And actually, it doesn't do quite as good a job, but given the sort of the cost difference, it does a good enough job that I'm happy with the results. So he'll have that all winter. He has a couple of cups of that in with his dinner every day. What else have we got up here? So this is a supplement of Nellie's actually. In fact, I'm thinking I'm gonna start giving some of this to Stumpy at the moment. So all of our horses have had like snot and sniffles lately. Woody had a cough for a good couple of weeks. Blue and Nell had like the odd cough, but it never really came to anything. And Stumpy had the cough, but hers seems to have evolved into some kind of like snot issue. Like I got her out of her stable this morning and she's got like just bright white strings of snot hanging out of her nostrils. I'm gonna have to go clean it up in a minute and I'm dreading it, it's disgusting. But I think I'm gonna put her on this for a couple of weeks just to help clear her respiratory system. So this is from Global Herbs. Used to feed it to Nellie a lot. So in the summer, she tends to get, I think it's a bit of an immune response. I wonder if she has like allergies or something like that going on. And she starts to struggle with her breathing a little bit. Now Nellie's always had like mild breathing problems. We did look into it. I can't remember what it's called, what we think she has. But you might notice in a lot of the videos where I'm riding her, especially when we're doing canter work, she kind of like, she gets out of breath quite quickly and she'll tend to rasp a little bit. There is a disorder. It's something to do with the windpipe. I can't remember. We did look into it years ago, but I can't remember. There is surgery you can get for it, but it doesn't bother her. It's never slowed her down or stopped her, so we've never really worried about it too much. But what we do is we give her this stuff in the summer. This Airways. It's all herbal. They change the recipe every now and then, but the one I've got here is like, so it's holy basil. I said that like an American. I've been watching too many American gardening YouTubers. English people say basil. Yes, but the American people I watch, they say basil. So easily influenced, aren't I? It's got all sorts of stuff in here. So it's got turmeric, licorice. Yeah, don't know if you can see the list there. But it's all herbal, all plant-based, which I'm very happy with. And yeah, she'll have that in the summer. And like I said, I will feed that if anybody gets any like respiratory difficulties. It really does make a difference. It's really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Highly recommend this. I've got some Epsom salts back here. That was actually for the pig. She was poorly a few weeks ago. A little bag of Snooties. I like the way they put a label on there that says not for human consumption. It's like they saw me coming on that one because I always taste my horse's food. Always. Everything I give them, I have to try it myself. Oh, right. What else have we got up here? So that is pigs. That is for her gut health, intestinal health. Again, that's all herbal. It's got like fennel, garlic, thyme, chili peppers, all sorts in there. It's basically like a natural wormer. That's left over from when Woody was lame. Yeah, we have so much of that left. I feel like the vet massively overprescribed us with that stuff. She wanted me to give him 2 packets twice a day, which I felt was excessively crazy. So I gave him 1 packet twice a day, and he didn't have to stay on it for very long before he was absolutely fine again. So we're set on the anti-inflammatory front there for quite a while, I think. Black salt. This is one of my favourite things, actually. I don't feed this every day. Like every now and then I will put this in their feed. Let's see if I can get the lid off. It's this stuff. So this is really, really good for a digestive aid. Calms the bowels, digestion and skin. Again, it's all natural. It smells amazing. Really, really amazing. So I can't remember the exact process, but they kind of like cook it in some way. They do something to it and there's some sort of chemical reaction that goes on. I can't remember it off the top of my head, to be perfectly honest, but it's really, really nice stuff. I like it as well. It's really tasty. It's almost got like a weird meaty taste. But yeah, I feed that stuff to them on a sort of intermittent basis. And equally, if anybody gets like an upset tummy or anything like that, or anybody gets stressed, stress obviously can cause an upset tummy, I will go ahead and put that in their feed just to help settle their digestive system a little bit. Definitely helps. I used to give Woody that an awful lot and it really did help him. So I like that one as well. That's actually from Global Herbs again as well. I really like that company. So Global Herbs and Horse Herb are probably my 2 go-to for supplements. So we've also got some electrolytes in here. Not got much left actually. We don't tend to use it so much in the winter, but in the summer, obviously with them getting really, really hot, it's good to have something like that on the shelf, just in case your horse gets excessively sweaty and needs an electrolyte top up. But we just feed that as and when necessary. And the other thing I've got in here is chamomile flowers. Let's get that off. So that's chamomile flowers, like literal dried chamomile flowers. So chamomile is a natural like calmer, both in humans and horses, like across the board. I can't get the lid back on. There we go. A little bit of brute force was needed there. So the chamomile flower I use as a calmer. You basically steep it as a tea and then pour it on your horse's feed. Exactly the same as humans do. Like, we get chamomile tea and it helps to reduce anxiety and relax you. And it tastes delicious. I love it. I've just got back on chamomile tea myself a couple of days ago and I've forgotten how delicious it is. Like, it's so, so tasty. So that I actually got specifically for Woody to help with his anxiety. He is a bit of an anxious horse. So if we're going through like periods of like stress, if we're going to lots of shows and things like that, then I will put that in his feed like every day. I'll give him like a build up a few days before and then just keep him on it for the duration. Equally, I have given it to Blue before if he's a bit like overexcited and I just want to mellow him out a little bit. And it does work. Like, I wouldn't keep buying this stuff if it didn't work. I've definitely noticed a difference. It definitely mellows them out. So that's basically what I keep on the shelf instead of a calmer. Oh, and we've got a big bucket full of treats here as well. Big bucket full of sweeties. They get sweeties after they do any kind of like training activity, whether it be in hand stuff or riding, literally anything. If they do a good job of something, they get a sweetie. They get sweeties after like baths as well and being clipped. Yeah, always keep a big bucket of sweeties on this yard, we do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what we feed our horses. So they have chaff, pony mix, and some natural herbs thrown in to cater to the needs of each individual horse. So yeah, there you go, guys. That is what we feed our horses. Can't remember if I said this or not. Probably a bit obvious, but yeah, go ahead and say it anyway. In the winter, they don't have access to the grass in the winter, so it is like 100% hay or haylage plus the bucket feed. Don't think I mentioned that earlier, so I just thought I'd slip that in at the end there.